ministers, serving governors, deputy governors, and former governors, serving members of the National Assembly and former members of the National Assembly. But let me really appreciate traditional institutions led by the Sultan of Sokoto and other traditional rulers are here with us. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will not take much of your time because we've listened to eloquent speakers, we've listened to the chairman, we've listened to the book reviewer, we've listened to the former NSA. So I don't really have much to add. But let me first appreciate the man, Irabor, General Irabor. He's really a fine officer. And he's somebody who, the little I know, doesn't play politics with military. After leaving office, when I was in office, I thought that the military services don't play unnecessary politics. Well, we know there's politics everywhere, but they play the politics of within the army, not the kind of politics we play. But after leaving office, I realized that quite a number of professionals in the security services play dirty politics. But General Irabor is one person that does not get into that. White is white, black is black. Thank you, you're a gift to this country. And the title of the book is quite interesting. Scars and the Boko Haram Conundrum. It is interesting because, when I was in office, and one of the major scars on my government, and would be on my face, and like Bishop Cook has said, no plastic or cosmetic surgeon can remove it, is the issue of the Chibok girls. It's a scar that I will die with. But later on, people may know a little more details. And that's also to do with the Boko Haram. What do they really want? Of course, our chairman raised the issue when interviewed some of them, and they gave him some perspective. But probably one day, I pray that some of the Boko Haram leaders may be literate enough to document what they have done, so that people will really know what they wanted. Because it's like the story of the Nigerian Civil War. If you read one of the books, My Command, I think it's one of the first books that came out from President Obasanjo, because he was there. Then Ojukwu wrote his own, Because I Am Involved. So when those who were involved in something say it, you get a different perspective. If you go through a research, interview a lot of people, yes, you'll get part of the story, but you will never get the full story of the Boko Haram. Because I was there, the Boko Haram started 2009 when I was the vice president to late Irabor. Of course, I took over 2010 for 5 years, battling with the Boko Haram until I left. I thought that immediately I leave, within a reasonable time, late General Buhari was going to wipe them out, but till today, the Boko Haram is still there. So the issue of Boko Haram is a little more complex than sometimes we can conjecture. In 1999, when Obasanjo just became a president, we know we had some issues in the Southwest. But government was able to bring it down because there was a clear focus, there was clear reason, and government was able to. Then we had issues in the Niger Delta. And when I became the vice president, one of the major things I did was to visit the most dangerous camp of the militants in the Niger Delta. I remember when we flew down to Warri, by the time we got to the waterfront to take boats to that camp, they sent information to us that anybody following me must not carry weapon. My ADC, my CSO, that nobody should carry a weapon. In fact, the Commissioner of Police of Delta State said, Vice President, no, you will not go there. The State Director of SSS to say, no, I will not go. I told them I will go. So even my officers, my ADC, my CSO and so on, they handed over their guns to the CP and the SDS of Delta State, and none of them carried weapon. When we landed at the camp, these boys lying up one this way, one road this way, with their assault rifles, just facing the bush, not even looking at my direction as if there was nothing happening. We marched through them, we passed through them, sorry. We had a meeting with their leaders and so on. We had to spend almost 1 hour there. When we came back, that was the beginning of solving the the Niger Delta crisis. And we're able to get through. At least now, there's a reasonable pace in the Niger Delta. If you, like Bishop Kuka mentioned, the 82 and 83, when we have the Maitasinde religious crisis in this country. From research, the Maitasinde religious crisis, when some of them were arrested and analyzed and interviewed, they came from parts of the Sahel area within Nigeria and outside Nigeria, where we had major drought within that period, and the Irabor pest disease that wiped out so many cattle, and so many young people from these areas migrated to the cities, Maiduguri and others, and they had no skills and nothing to do. And they were able to be recruited and cause havoc. Luckily, it was a military government then, so when the military intervened, they were able to bring it down because there was a clear reason. A reason of young people who were looking for survival, but they had no skills, and so on and so forth. So if you put all these things together, you begin to say, this Boko Haram, why is it that from 2009 till date, we've not been able to resolve the crisis of Boko Haram? So just like Bishop Kuka tried to raise some fundamental issues, yes, we need to approach it differently. The issue of carrots and the stick may be adopted. And yes, probably they need something. But if you look at the weapons they use and you value the weapons, then you know that these are not hungry people. So the soldiers that sometimes capture some of the weapons will see better. But the weapons they use, the ammunitions they use, sometimes they even have more ammunition than our soldiers. So it doesn't show that they're hungry people. And where are these guns, sophisticated weapons coming from? And you begin to see that the external hands are also involved, especially when I was a president. So it's a bit complex. And it's not a matter of a single story. But I believe as a nation, we have to look at the concept of Boko Haram and approach it differently from the conventional approach. I believe one day we'll get over it. So once again, let me thank General Irabor for this, because I always appreciate people who clearly document events, so that maybe sometimes when we write our own, we'll borrow from your documentation. And I believe that all the military officers who were involved in this Boko Haram saga should be able to give us information about what the Boko Haram stood for. If it is only about hunger, because we tried different options, I don't need to give a sermon. It will look as if I am trying to defend my own government. That will come up later when we will document, we'll write our books. But I believe we took different options, we set different committees. We tried our best within that 5 years that I was there. I believe late Buhari too must have tried his best, because one of the committees we set up then, the Boko Haram nominated Buhari to lead their team to negotiate with government. So I was feeling that, if they nominated Buhari to represent them and have a discussions with the government committee. Then when Buhari took over, it could have been an easy way to negotiate with them, and they would have handed over their guns, but it was still there till today. I believe the government, luckily the defense minister is here. The service chiefs all are represented here. I think we will need a slightly different approach, and God willing, we will be able to resolve this crisis. I thank you all.